This show is brought to you by Nice Mug. Nice Mug is the only mug made entirely out of ice. For more information, go to nicemug.com and enter the coupon code SAUNA for 10% off your entire purchase. Well, hey there. Welcome to another episode of Sauna Talk. And we are joined on the bench with a very special guest, Omar Ansari, founder and owner of Surly Brewing Company. For those not in Minnesota, Surly Brewing, as of 2018, is reported to be the third largest brewery in Minnesota, producing 93,000 barrels per year. Surly Brewing made the list of top 50 brewers in the United States last year, and I'm sure they'll be knocking their way down on that list based on their success. The Surly Beer Hall and Garden is located between downtown Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's a very large facility that packs them in and has quickly become a destination point for locals and visitors to the Twin Cities. For those of us in Minnesota, Surly needs no introduction. For example, anyone attending the recent Neil Young concerts at the Orpheum Theater in Minneapolis, looking around before the lights went down, we could easily identify and lose count of the number of fans sipping from that iconic red and black Surly Furious 16-ounce can. Surly has become part of the fabric of Minnesota. But little known about Surly is its founder, Omar's love and support of the authentic sauna experience. Omar has been a huge supporter of the 612 Sauna Society. The connection and credit goes to Margie Weaver, who at the time was Omar's yoga instructor, and Margie arranged for Omar to meet up with 612 Sauna Society founder JP. And once Omar felt the heat, the intention, and the idea of the 612 Sauna Society, he extended himself graciously to help expand authentic sauna in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul. 612 Sauna Society has had residencies within the Surly Brewing courtyard. This gesture at the time was uncharted grounds. Today, the idea of meeting friends on the sauna bench, partaking in a few sauna rounds, then a libation and a bite to eat at Surly Brewing may seem like a logical and natural thing to do, as this is done in Scandinavia and Northern Europe all the time. Yet despite Minnesota's long heritage of Finlanders and Northern Europeans well familiar to sauna, as well as cabin sauna culture that dates back generations along the shoreline of many of Minnesota's 10,000 lakes, the urban sauna concept in the public domain was very abstract and foreign in Minneapolis, St. Paul, as recently as just a couple of years ago. And this is when Omar joined forces and embraced the 612 Sauna Society and sauna in a public domain. In this episode of Sauna Talk, you'll hear about the origins of Surly Brewing, Omar jumping on the pent-up demand of craft beer in the upper Midwest, how Omar Surlyman was able to plow through the challenging task of getting an archaic and restrictive law changed to allow craft brewers to sell beer and food on site, forever now known as the Surly Bill. Omar Ansari put craft beer in cans when it was all 12-ounce glass. Omar Ansari embraced authentic sauna in the public domain. Omar Ansari is like us. He enjoys the heat up and the cool down. This evening we are joined on the sauna bench with Omar and a couple of Surly employees and their spouses who were graciously quiet while I conducted this interview. Yet we passed the microphone and you will be introduced to them as well. Omar Ansari is not unlike European business owners who work hard, no doubt, but who also have a beer with their staff and hang out socially on the sauna bench, between sauna rounds, presenting themselves as just another person. Sauna is the great equalizer, and Omar Ansari displays this and shares this in his own backyard sauna on this cold Minnesota winter's night. The Friday happy hour sauna is alive and well. And tonight we are joined on the sauna bench with a Minnesota craft beer legend, founder and owner of Surly Brewing, Omar Ansari. So hey everybody, welcome to Sauna Talk, and it's Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we're in a first-tier suburb, Golden Valley, and I'd like to introduce someone, and you may not know him by name, but I guarantee you'll know some of the product he makes. So welcome to Sauna Talk.
Thanks. Glad to be here in the sauna, sweating away.
Yeah. So this is Omar. Omar is the founder of Surly Brewing, and Omar is a fan of sauna, and he has a kick-ass sauna in his backyard. We have about 10 people here, maybe?
Oh, that sounds about right. Yeah, and there's plenty of room. We're in the changing area, and there's room for more folks, and there's room for people outside. You can jam a lot of people in here.
That's it. And you were saying, Omar, you're out here in the sauna about how many times a week?
A couple times a week. It's at our house right now, and the kind of whole idea was here in the winter to help get through the winter and try and get it up north to our cabin in the summertime. So obviously it's a little bit less then, because unfortunately we're not there every day of the week or every few days. Sure. But try and get out here a couple days a week.
And wife, and how many children do you have?
I have 4 boys.
And how many of the 4 boys like sauna?
1.
One. Yeah. What about the other 3?
They're just not. The eldest, Max, he'll come and hang out a little bit and sweat away. And then it's funny because one kid, Spencer, he's a little skinny guy, and he hates the cold. Like, he hates it. And we thought, man, he is going to dig this. And the first time he came in here, he's like, it's so hot. I don't like it. He hasn't been back.
Yeah. When they're skinny like that,
his constitution is not the strongest.
Yeah. You got to have a little meat on the bones.
That must be it.
That must be it. So let's talk a little bit about.
Are you saying something about me?
Well, let's see. With a little extra weight, there's a little more, insulation, we'll say.
Fair enough.
I want to get into the meat of your history, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
If we could wind the clock back. You're a native of the Twin Cities?
Yeah, right here. Yeah, grew up my folks lived in Uptown when I was a little kid, so they lived 2 blocks away from the CC Club.
Right on. You're a city guy.
That's where I was born, and then I grew up in Golden Valley, so kind of always been in the suburbs, but close to the city here, and went to college in the cities, and then
And how old were you when you had your first beer?
Well, who can ever remember that?
That's right.
It's usually sips. It's kind of lawnmower beer stuff. I'm pretty sure it was a Special X, but my first real one was in German. My mom's German, so we went there when I was. One of the times we went there when I was 14. We went to the Hofbräuhaus, and I got a beer, and that was pretty cool. And then kind of, a little disorienting at 14 to chug a big German beer.
Sure. But that's the way it is in Germany compared to America. I mean,
drinking is. It was that same time when I was there when I was 14. I remember we were hanging out with my cousin at a party, not a party, just like friends getting together, and everyone was drinking beer, and I'm like, what's everyone doing? And it's just, it's not as big of a deal. So there's people learn to drink beer or alcohol as part of a normal everyday occurrence. It's not such a big deal, but you get a lot of alcoholics too. You can't pretend like
they're everywhere.
Oh, everyone's great. They got plenty of drunks too. So.
Yeah. And everybody says the Germans are great drivers, because
it helps when you have a Porsche.
Yeah. So you get back to the United States. You're in your teens. When did the idea of brewing beer, starting a brewery, when would you say that came about?
That was way later. So I really didn't start drinking beer until college, and then I had a girlfriend who actually got me a homebrew kit, and I remember when I got it, I'm like, oh great. I said,
it looked like work, huh?
I said, that's what I need, another hobby.
Yeah.
And because honestly, all the homebrew I had at that point was pretty crappy, so I was not excited to oh yay. But she persevered. She's from Wisconsin, so to drink beer. So that was 94. So I got my first homebrew kit from Northern Brewer, and it was 10 years later I got the idea of opening a brewery. I was homebrewing, and idea kind of popped in my head, and at that point the only brewery in the Twin Cities was Summit, so a little bit of a different world than it is right now.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, I moved to Minnesota in 1988, and I remember the Summit Pale Ale.
Yep.
I had a great buddy.
Legendary beer.
Legendary, absolutely. I had a buddy who was driving cross country. He and his girlfriend were living in Seattle, and we did a taste test of Red Hook and Summit, blind taste test, and we all picked Summit.
Yeah.
And he would bring Summit out to him to Seattle, sort of cobbler's kid shoes. Bringing beers out
right.
west, you know?
Yeah, it's no doubt. I'd said many a time over one of those beers, it's as good of a beer you'll find in the world. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Isn't it interesting? Well, I shouldn't even bring this up as a brewer like yourself, but I'll just say, personally, I'll have a Summit now, and it tastes like a Budweiser compared to a Surly.
You know, I think it's two things, right? Like maybe the beer's changed, but you know, we all change as drinkers too.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just kind of the nature of what you get used to and what's a stand. You know, Furious used to, people used to spit it out.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and now it's like, oh yeah, it tastes, it's kind of bitter and hoppy, but not crazy.
Right. You started. I remember it was in the '90s and stuff. You would go down to like Burnsville and some, standard, middle of the road bars, and you could maybe find pale ale on tap.
Yeah, I mean that was
a
you'd
big
hope.
deal.
That's what you'd hope to find.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then you
maybe
came
too
around.
hearted,
And you're thinking, let's start a brewery. Did you travel to the Northwest and see what was going on?
Yeah,
there?
I skied a bunch and played a lot of ultimate frisbee, and so I'd go out to Colorado, go out to Portland.
Yeah.
Since I was skiing, like Wyoming and all those areas, and there's always so much beer, and it just always seemed odd. I'm like, why is there not more beer in Minnesota? Like, there's 2 million people that live here, and you got a Montana, and there's 10 goddamn breweries, and there's a million people in the whole state. So it's always seemed kind of odd.
Yeah.
But.
And then was that a push for you to commit, like, because it had to be a financial commitment in a big way, your first foray into commercial brewing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think just that idea was that, the whole idea, thought process was there weren't any breweries here, so that was kind of the whole idea is like that's the reason we can make it go is because there's only one other brewery here, and we said, well, one brewery can only brew so many beers, that's why you can have, at that point, 10 breweries in Portland or 10 breweries in Seattle or 20 breweries in Denver,
So you recognize an opportunity here,
yeah, it just
here
seemed
in the
like,
cities. And
seemed like I said, with 2.5 million people and all the restaurants and food, and there'd have to be room for, as I like to say, there had to be room for one more brewery. And it would seem there's room for about 100 breweries.
Right on.
So the way it is now.
So a good buddy of mine, Dan Lieberman, he's on the Surly. You know Dan?
Oh,
yeah,
of
right.
course I know Dan.
He would bring me up to the Brooklyn Center place.
Yeah.
Be up there. Was up there many a times for the ultimate gatherings and stuff.
Yep.
And what's going on in Brooklyn Center at the original? Is that still in operation as a storage area and stuff?
The way to say it is the majority of our beer comes from Brooklyn Center. Mm-hmm. From Minneapolis. That's where Furious and Extra Citra and Hell and our variety pack beers come from. But the mass variety of beers come from Brooklyn Center. So if you go to the beer hall, let's see, yesterday there were 38 beers on draft.
Wow.
And 35 of them come from the Brooklyn Center brewery. So they're just a smaller brewery, so we can brew smaller batch beers and kind of do different stuff and do, if we're going to brew a giant stout, it's not going to, even 100 barrels of it is a lot. And those are 600 barrel fermenters at Minneapolis, so it's just kind of easy to do more different, do more smaller different things over there at Brooklyn Center. So it's still going, and we're doing tours again there, and
that's
opening it up
wonderful.
again.
And that's the original.
Yep, yeah, that's where it started.
And you plan on hanging on to that space?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
we just redid the floors and got a new kegging line in there, so we kind of put a lot of make sure the building is. We ran it hard for 10 years, and it needed a lot of needed some TLC to keep everything running because those brewing takes a lot of equipment, all that heat and refrigeration.
No question. Let's and we're going to talk a little more sauna, but I wanted the audience to understand, get a context of who we're standing with between sauna rounds. I got JP to my left. You heard JP on Sauna Talk just recently, and Omar's been such a great supporter of sauna in the Twin Cities, and I want to stay with the chronology though, real quick, Omar, with Brooklyn Center.
Yeah.
And then a big thing happened. There was this move toward a bigger facility.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, let's go back. So the idea for the brewery came around in 2004. So we sold our first keg out of Brooklyn Center in 2006. And then a few years later, it seemed like we would outgrow that facility eventually. And that was around 2010. And the idea came about. Jim Mott, who is our fourth employee, kind of traveled and saw this brewery in Austria, the Stiegel Brewery.
Yeah.
And,
were you there as a family trip, or did you go as a mission?
Playing Ultimate Frisbee, me and Jim at the World Championships.
Did you have in your mind when you were in Europe playing Ultimate that you were going to check out different facilities with the idea of a brewery?
No, we were just hanging out.
Okay.
You know, there wasn't enough time for that.
Sure.
So he stayed a little bit later and traveled. So he checked this place out, and it was this pretty cool, huge space. And he came back with a brochure, and we talked about an idea of building something new and cool and big. The only problem was it wasn't legal, so we had to start by changing the law. So we got the law changed so you could sell a glass of beer at the brewery, because it's hard to build something big if you can't find a way to pay for it.
So for those listening that aren't from Minnesota, or especially the Twin Cities, you may not know about the Surly Bill, but those that are from
or
here,
young.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that was a monumental work, what you did. I mean, whether you were into brewing or you knew about breweries, what we had in Minnesota was something unique compared to what?
One way to put it.
Yeah, California, Washington, many other states. Can you tell us a little bit about the rule that was in place at the time and the work you did?
Yeah, it's a states' rights thing, which is great and all. But, when you've got, those types of laws determined by the states, you've got 50 ways to do the same thing. And Minnesota is, was probably one of the more conservative states when it came to its beer laws. I always say, I don't know if this is the right crowd, but not enough Germans, too many Swedes and Norwegians. And Finns, too, I suppose.
Well, the Germans had the rules.
Right.
The Swedes were conservative, right?
Yeah, but so, like in Wisconsin, all those Germans, the beer laws are super liberal. They always have been.
Yeah.
And, that's why kind of the beer culture has never gone away in Wisconsin. Like, the craft beer revolution never happened there, because there was always a beer scene in Wisconsin,
Let's look at it like this. Imagine the University of Minnesota versus University of Wisconsin. You've probably been to the campus, the Hoffman House.
They're not the same.
It's well representative, though, as you say about the Scandinavians in Minnesota. University of Minnesota, call it a dry campus.
You could call it a dry. It is a dry campus, yeah.
And on Madison,
it's not a dry campus.
Right.
It's not a dry campus.
Yeah, and JP went there. So JP, what about the student union? Can you describe for listeners what the student union is like?
It's a great place. It's beautiful, and it's a great place to enjoy a beer on the shores of the lake. What lake is that there?
Is it Monona?
Mendota.
Yeah. But that's representative of the law, the difference of the law at the time. Wisconsin very accepting of beer in all kinds of places. Minnesota very conservative.
So back to the heart of the matter is, breweries could not sell you a glass of beer. So it was actually, when we started, we had nothing to do with that. Around 2006, the law got passed that breweries could sell growlers, and everyone in the beer scene knows what that is. So that wasn't even legal up to that point. But we couldn't sell someone a glass of beer. So if they came on a tour, they got a free beer, which was great. The tours were a party every week. But to build this new brewery and this idea of this beer hall and this sort of food experience that existed in other part of the country, we knew we'd have to get the law changed. So that was kind of the whole concept to basically that fall in 2010 came up with the idea of here's how we're going to do it, and got some lobbyists. They're not all bad, and they helped us get the law changed.
And you have political support. I mean, the mayors and all that. Did they come around, or did they take some? Did it take some work?
Not really. It's like making sausage, man. It's a crazy, weird process, and there's so many things at play. And I had a buddy who sold us some stuff, who was a big Republican guy, and he's like, "Oh, the Republicans must have helped you out, man. I mean, they were all, for this." And I'm like, "Not really. Like, it's almost not it's kind of who's in power and who's not." And it was a strange how it all worked out. But
cool.
It looked like it literally didn't have much chance to pass. And then people, when everyone started calling their legislators and emailing and writing letters, that is what made the difference.
Real grassroots.
Absolutely, they do listen. They absolutely listen to when their constituents say stuff. It's just that they, a lot of times people don't call. This is a business issue, so it's even less. That's not a hot button item. So yeah, it just worked out that year. The Republicans took the House and the Senate, I think for the first time in like 100 years in Minnesota. And I remember seeing in the paper that day after the election that the Republican senator, or the party leader, said, we heard you. We've got a mandate to create jobs. And that's when I was like, it's a jobs bill. And that was sort of my message is like, hey, I can do this in Hudson today and spend $25 million and employ 300 people, but I'm a Vikings fan, not a Packers fan, so I'd rather do it in Minnesota where I'm from. And that, it always seems it's easy when, when you say they do it right over there, 40 minutes from here, and not here, because the opposition always is sort of, the sky is falling. And as a legislator, they don't know. I mean, there's so many nuanced things that they're supposed to, not supposed to, that they make decisions on, and they don't know. They don't know. And so when you can say, hey, look, the sky won't fall. They do it right over there, and I can go spend the money over there and create the jobs. And is that what people want? And that's sort of really at the end how it all got passed. So Governor Dayton signed it in May of 11, and took us 3.5 years, and we opened a new place in December of 14.
Yeah, and it's quite a place. When you hear Surlyville, does that ring as a compliment, or do you think?
No, that's all good. I remember that. I think they called it that in like the Minneapolis St. Paul or something like that. I'm like, that's a great name for that neighborhood.
Good for you. I'm glad you like it.
But it's changed a lot. If you go there now, there is filled with. There are a lot of cranes, man. There's going to be like 2,000 units of housing that's going in there. It's a very different neighborhood. We went in there. I remember my parents came back after I told them that I was going to go for that spot. My dad's like, I don't think that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I think it is. And then years later, he's like, you were right.
Let's dive into that a little bit. So why was that a good idea for you when you saw that spot? What rang for you?
Well, it was 8.5 acres, and that's one of the biggest issues with building a big brewery is like it takes a lot of space. Yeah. And also we wanted to have a lot of outdoor space to do things. And there just weren't a lot of parcels that big, especially in the city. And we wanted it to be in the city where it was urban. Like I said, grew up in the city and or cities, and but wanted to be part of that scene, and by transit and by the bike line, and we knew we'd have a lot of people working on the restaurant side that didn't take the bus. We just wanted to make it so it's easy to get to, and we knew the light rail was coming. The Green Line hadn't been built yet, but we knew it was coming. So just kind of part of that whole urban scene that is kind of seemingly kind of grown up with biking and beers and everything the last 10 years.
A very accessible location through bike trail, light rail, very urban.
Yeah, it's
very
urban.
Industrial.
Yeah, it's pretty industrial.
Yeah.
But the other interesting thing was it was a brownfield site, so it was contaminated. And that's kind of why no one wanted it. And, when you went over there, like there's issue with homeless folks in the area, and it was a pretty rough spot, but that's kind of where the opportunity lied, that no one else wanted it because it wasn't a real I guess appetizing spot for a lot of other businesses, and that's why it worked for us. You don't see breweries usually going into high buck rent areas because it's not a high rent, it's manufacturing.
Right.
And
but it creates a great vibe.
Oh yeah, well I think that's if you've been to Brooklyn Center, it's an industrial park. That's always kind of been part of our DNA. So it's kind of fit in with who we are, I think.
How many employees at Surly Brewing now?
350. We'll have 400 probably in the summer when the patio's rocking.
Yeah.
So there'll be some. Yeah. There's a lot.
What's that like for you as owner and responsible and for all of these moving parts and these 350 foreign employees? What's life like with that?
That's why I got a sauna. It helps melt the stress away. No, it's none of this stuff has ever happened. It's always kind of a slow burn to get to where you're at. And the good thing is the team of people we've got now. they're great, and I think
Well, you
we've
have
got a lot of people that are really good at managing other people and helping with the direction, because it's just gotten so big. Like, I can't do it all anymore. It's easy when there's 20 people, but when there's 350, it's kind of a whole different animal. So.
And if this sauna is any representation of the employees at Surly Brewing, you got a great posse. I mean, we're having a great time. Who do we have here?
I'm Riley.
And Riley, what do you do at Surly Brewing?
I am the QA/QC manager, so I do quality control for the brewery.
Right.
Quality assurance.
And how would you assess the quality of the sauna?
The quality of the sauna, it's high quality, of great quality.
And how many rounds? How many rounds, Riley, have you had? How many rounds
I think 3 so far.
3 so far.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the heat? Is it a good heat?
It's a good heat, good steady heat. Yeah.
So Omar brought the quality control director to the sauna tonight, just to make sure that we're having a good sauna.
We're making sure everything's working right.
Yeah, right on. And we were talking about Neil Young a little while ago. Neil Young just ended a 4-night stint at 4 different theaters here in Minneapolis. And yeah. And I was at the Orpheum, and I was thinking about this sauna coming up because I knew JP had organized this, and I was coming over to see you, and there I was, and at the Orpheum, and I look at this couple in front of me, and they each have a Surly Furious. And I look down the other way, and I see Surly Furious, Surly Furious, Surly Furious. What's it like for you to go out? If you were at Neil Young at the Orpheum that night, seeing all this Surly Furious. No one was drinking anything else from
It's
what
awesome.
I
mean, I can't, you can't say it's anything but that. I mean, it was nothing we'd ever thought. Everything that's happened has been way bigger than any ideas, any wildest dreams that thought could happen. So it never gets old seeing people drink your beer. Or I remember we got that tap handle at First Avenue. I'm like, oh my god, like you're drinking beer at First, like my beer at First Avenue, like that's as good as it gets, right? Because I think we've all drank a lot of beer over there. Kind of bar. So
Does it get old?
Not that part, I mean, parts of it do, but...
Have you ever walked up to somebody and drinking your beer and introduce yourself and say, that's a beer that I made?
Like if I'm out doing an event, every now and then I'll buy someone a beer, if they order one, I don't say, I don't walk up and like, hey, that's my beer, but like I'll buy them a beer and be like, hey, thanks for drinking the beer,
And at that point, do they want to be your friend?
Kind of depends why they think I'm buying them a beer. Sometimes they just kind of look at you like, I'm good, dude. I'm like, no, I own the brewery. Just thanks for drinking the beer, man. They're like, all right.
Give me a sip. I made that beer.
Yeah. I think we're going to have to either suspend this. I'm cold.
My feet are cold.
Cold out here.
Yeah.
We need to go sweat.
We need sauna shoes. How about we bring it in here? Do you mind?
Man, you know what we need?
Yeah,
we need some in-floor heat.
Yes,
I mean,
right on.
Design this thing.
Yeah.
Man.
That's actually a Finnish company. They're called Uponor, and they make the radiant heat.
Uponor, I've heard of that company.
Their North America headquarters are in Apple Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's kind of a neat thing. So Omar, I'm going to ask you a few sauna questions.
All right, now that we're in the hot box,
and
what do you call this part of the sauna anyway?
The hot room.
The hot room. All right.
Yeah, in the hot box. Yeah.
Hot box.
So you were very gracious about talking about the beer. I mean, I didn't want to bore you with that. Were my questions
that's the
fair?
easy part.
Yeah. It was
easy.
pretty engaging. But so let's take a day in Minneapolis where you're going to be having a sauna that night. You wake up in the morning and you just kind of know it's a sauna night. So I ask all my guests on Sauna Talk this question is, what is your favorite moment from when you wake up? You're going to work, you come home, you fire up the sauna, and you got a good 2-3 sauna rounds, maybe with your wife or your one son who digs it, and then you finish the sauna process, and maybe go back inside and finish up. What one moment through a sauna session is your favorite, and why?
I think probably the point in which I come out and I check on the fire and it's going, because I seem to have figured it out. But it seemed like last year when I first would get it going, half the time it would fail on me, and that would always be a bit of a disappointment. So kind of once it's going, you've got the pieces ready to, you got another hour's worth of time to kind of chill out and get ready to get everyone out there. I just think kind of you know, it's definitely the group aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Becca, my wife, and son get out here and we just kind of hang out. I think that's probably the highlight. That's kind of why you do it.
Yeah. So right, like the beginning of your first sauna round. Would you?
Yeah, yeah, probably. Kind of everyone's on in and we
Yeah.
get it going. So that's kind of part of the
Love it.
part of the fun part for sure. So that's always good because you know, and that's before everyone gets too hot.
right. So that would be your favorite.
Yeah.
The beginning of round one.
Yeah, I think so. It's because
Got
it's
it.
kind of everyone's in the same spot in the same frame of mind. So that's a good place to be.
And another question on that is, you're a proud owner of a mobile sauna, and a question I ask is, if you could have a mobile sauna and bring it anywhere in the world, and take a sauna, where would you like to go?
Where in the world? Well, I mean it doesn't have wings, but you know, if it was going to be somewhere around here, I mean, probably be like Lake Superior, right? That seems like the spot, the quintessential place, and that lake's sure cold, so you can do it. Even summertime's gonna work.
Right.
I mean, in the world, I guess you probably have to take it to some fjord or something. But
Nice.
you know, I haven't spent a lot of time in Scandinavia, so maybe we'll put it on a Viking cruise ship, bring it right on over there, and float it on over to some spot.
Sweet.
Seems like that's the spot where it all started, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, take it back to the roots.
Right.
Yeah. Sauna, for those that aren't familiar with sauna, like how far back do you go with sauna yourself? What's
Not
your
very
earlier
far at
memories?
all.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
What got you interested in sauna?
Well, it was actually how did it start? It was Margie. I was a gal I did yoga with for years, probably 5 years, I think.
Yep. Margie Weaver,
Yep, Margie
a
Weaver.
regular
Yep.
listener to Sauna Talk.
Yeah, we
by the
do
way.
yoga probably twice a week. Kind of the first thing I did that helped get my back straightened out.
Yeah.
I had a bad back, and she would be telling me about she was working with these guys and going over and having a sauna, and you know, she invited me and the family over a few times, and I don't know, eventually took her up on one of those offers. I don't know if it was the whole family, but yeah, we went over to JP's backyard and hit the sauna, and you know, I remember he'd ask me a bunch of questions. He's like, "Have you ever been invited to sauna?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I've been in a sauna, like at a health club. Is that what you mean? Like, I don't really know what you mean."
Yeah.
And you know, it's right off Minnehaha Creek, so you know, we'd go get in the creek and float around for a bit in between. It was just awesome, and I think literally we did it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it. I see. Like this is a scene. I haven't really ever done it, and it's a pretty sweet kind of vibe that's going on here. So,
Nice.
and I guess that was 612 Sauna was started at that point already, right?
Right. About that time.
Yeah. So that was kind of my first introduction to it. And I think we went back another time or so. But yeah, it just was like, my God, this is such a great way to just chill out and relax. And you know, there's no TVs in here. There's no. It's sort of a different kind of vibe.
Yeah, man. Yeah, different from the health club.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's sort of, but the health club is all right, you know, in that it is called the gateway drug for a more authentic sauna experience that you can.
So it's the fat tire of saunas, the health club sauna.
Let's see. I would say infrared is maybe like Coors Light.
Infrared, sure.
Yeah, and then maybe the health club sauna would be your middle of the road. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know the beer
it's
in
funny.
the
I had when we were talking about doing the sauna, I have a friend that built one in his house, and it's great. It's super tiny. They squeezed it into a spot, and it's infrared, and you know, you hit a button and it fires up, and you sweat in there, and but it's certainly, you know, I think part of the experience is, you know, the fire is always a pretty, I think, cool aspect of the whole thing, right? Having the stove is the best part of the sauna, right? Got built by Kuma up in Tower, right? I mean, it's pretty awesome. It's built here in Minnesota.
Yeah. Can you feel the difference, you guys? Hey, you guys have been really gracious here in the hot room. Just
I need to get some more water. You can ask a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
More water. Put it back.
Can you folks here in the hot room feel a difference in heat to other saunas that you've taken?
It's a different air, like in here, because it's like a, what do you call it, inside feed?
Yeah, right.
Like the air was a little tougher at first, or like sharper, but now that you're sitting in, the steam's going too. It feels a lot better.
It's really nice.
Yeah, but the air itself is different.
Yeah. And who do we have down here?
I'm Will. So I'm dating Riley over here, who works for Surly.
Yeah, right. So Will's got a great sauna posture going right here. He's just totally chilled,
Pretty relaxed.
very relaxed. How many rounds have you done, Will?
This is number 4, I believe. So not a bad Friday.
Yeah. And also joining us on the bench is
Hello, I'm Amy, hanging out at Omar's house. My husband works for him at the brewery.
this is a
Sweet in here.
yeah. Have you sauned in a wood-fired sauna before?
Yes, I have, but not very often. More just like the rocks and the steam, not as much with the fire. So it's a nice,
Right on.
it's a nice touch. Yeah.
So, Omar, you are more Finnish. I know you're German by ancestry and stuff, but you're more Finnish in the sense that in Finland, like CEOs of companies and stuff often have their employees to sauna,
Oh,
and you are living it.
I did not
you're
know.
li-
Now, yeah, look at that.
You are
I could
living
be a
that. And-
Finnish. I could be a Finnish
Yeah.
CEO. I see it. My dad always said he was a Southern Swede when people asked him where he was from.
There you go.
He's Pakistani, so that was kind of the joke.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that fits right in.
It fits right in. A lot of people, when they leave the parking lot of their company as a president or as the owner of a company, I mean, they run from the company. But we're enjoying your beer tonight, and it's just so cool to meet some of your employees that are joining us.
Well,
This
this seems like a
sauna
great time
party.
to get everyone out too. It's been kind of fun.
Yeah. And I want to thank you for being on Sauna Talk. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
personal time for you to be with your friends and hang out, and I want to thank you for being the
Yeah, happy to do it.
Yeah,
It's been
and-
kind of fun thing to see. JP get this whole thing going, and
Yeah, man.
and having the what do I keep forgetting what we call it? The Stoker, the original Sauna Society unit that was at the brewery, and just how
Yeah.
it's cool
Well,
to
you have
build
been
that,
such a-
see that culture sort of
Yeah.
exist.
Thank you. You've been a great supporter, such a gracious supporter of the 612 Sauna Society. And joining you on the bench right now is JP, the founder of the 612 Sauna Society. And John, do you want to chime in a little bit about Omar's certainly gracious and humble about this, but why don't you tell us a little bit about what Omar contributed to the 612?
Yeah, during the first, just after the Kickstarter, just getting it off, really getting it going. I mean, we needed to be out in public, and Omar just since the beginning has been just there for us, and just a collaborator, and it's been wonderful. It kind of was a big eye-opening experience for me, where it was like, wow, like invite people in, and things can happen. This can be something. This doesn't have to just be in your backyard. Like share this, grow this. People who are as successful and as Omar are interested in collaborating and helping it happen. And so it was just a big eye-opening moment for me to kind of step up and be like, yeah, let's take it to the next level, and let's really share this. So I've enjoyed collaborating and learning from him, and people who are just getting stuff done, and making good experiences available for people. So it's been like it's been a big experience, growing experience for me to just be like, yeah, let's start working at that level, and let's keep it going.
Right on, great. Okay, so I have one more question, and I want to do one more introduction. Who do we have here on the sauna bench?
I am Max.
And Max, who's your dad?
Omar.
The guy's sweating on him.
So Max, what's up with your brothers? I hear they're not into sauna as much as you are.
Well, my little brother, he's definitely into it, but he's watching a show right now. Other two, not so much. They're just not into this type of heat, I guess.
What do you like most about the sauna and sauna in general?
Just generally the feeling afterward of cooling down. It's nice.
Yeah, well said. Omar, one last question for you. If you could take a sauna with anyone, dead or alive, past, present, in this sauna, just you and one other person, a genie in a bottle,
Yeah.
Does someone come to mind? Like, who's the first
Well,
person that comes to mind for you?
You know, you think it'd have to be someone like a storyteller, right? So, you know, like Hemingway or, you know, some Oscar Wilde or someone that, like, you can basically kind of let them go. And the problem with Hemingway, we probably need a bottle of whiskey in here. It might be hot for that, but, you know, just someone that, you know is going to be able to keep, you know, tell a couple good stories.
Yeah.
So, but hey, one thing I want to say is I got to give credit to JP. And the first time and all you guys, the first time I sort of saw this and trying to make that whole thing go with the unit, you know, getting it around, and that's kind of why we worked to say let's get one of these built, because it was just awesome to see the passion there and kind of seeing in JP what he wanted to bring to people. Like, he brought it here to me. We got it. We didn't do it before, and you know, you open up the Trib and there's an article once a month or every couple months about sauna now, which is all, I think, because of you guys and kind of what you've trying to bring that to Minnesota. Because I you know, a lot of people don't know what it's about, and I think once you do it, it's like, well, this is awesome. How do I do more of this? You know, and I mean, that's kind of what Riley and Will got here, is, you know, reading about it, like, this seems super cool, like, how do, you know, and they went down to Hewig and did it. So, you know, hats off to making a go of it. And I think when we talked, I'm like, dude, you got to make money. Like, you can do this, like, don't make it a charity, because then you can't do it for very long. Like, make a business out of it, and don't be shy, because that's kind of how it goes. And it's just cool to see more and more things happening. That's awesome. So,
Beautiful.
props to seeing that, taking the passion and running with it. It's awesome to see.
Wonderfully well said. So there is a parallel between sauna and craft beer. We need some laws changed. We need a law changed, right, John? Yeah. And we are pioneers, just like you were, Omar. And we are pioneers to something good. Something
Be careful
fun.
what you ask for. You might have 100 people making saunas in the Twin Cities in a few years.
Well, we'll come back to you. And,
good and bad. Good and bad.
We'll come back to you and find out how to de-stress owning a.
Well, that's what the beer's for.
Yeah, great. Well, Omar, thank you. Thanks for joining us on Sauna Talk.